My wife died a gruesome death in a cartel-controlled border town in Mexico, all to save the love of her life. But when that man, her high school sweetheart, returned unharmed to the States, he had the audacity to ask me for reimbursement. I traveled thousands of miles to bring your wife's ashes back, Julian said, checking his watch. You should at least cover my travel expenses, right? She was a married woman who got herself killed chasing after another man. Isn't that just karma? She got what she deserved. I couldn't utter a single word. I was too distracted by the sight of my wife's spirit floating right beside me. Her expression at that moment was a spectacle to behold. Julian Hayes had returned with Chloe's ashes cradled in his arms. The moment he stepped off the plane, a swarm of reporters intercepted him. Mr. Hayes, are those the ashes of Ms. Chloe Ross? Rumors say you two were lovers, and she crossed the border into cartel territory to save you. It's a tragic romance. Can you tell us what happened? Julian frowned initially, then softened his voice for the cameras. Please, don't spread rumors. Chloe and I weren't a couple. We had absolutely no relationship. I'm still a bachelor, looking to settle down and start a family one day. If you're looking for her husband, he's right over there. Everyone's gaze swept toward me. The reporters paused, confused, then began to whisper. Not a couple? Then why did you go save him? A married woman abandons her husband to save another man and dies in a foreign land? What kind of logic is that? Their eyes were filled with disdain. I pursed my lips, remaining silent, but internally I was reeling. Chloe's soul was hovering right next to me, and her expression was a mix of shock, panic, and confusion. I could hear her muttering to herself. Julian, I was tortured until I was barely recognizable just to save you. How can you say we have no relationship? You clearly loved me so much. Neither Julian nor the press reacted. It seemed only I could see her spirit. Chloe looked at me, her voice tinged with irritation. David, are you happy now? I'm dead. I died abroad, saving another man. You're finally free of me, aren't you? Let me tell you, I don't regret it. I died for love. Love is the most important thing, more important than life itself. I didn't respond to the ghost. Instead, I took the urn from Julian and lowered my head, walking toward the exit. Seeing no reaction from me, she suddenly started crying, her spirit chasing after me as I headed home. When I arrived at our house with the urn, Julian followed me inside. My mother-in-law, Martha, looked haggard, her hair mostly gray. Seeing the box in my arms, she froze, then began muttering repetitively, My Chloe is home. She's home, so it doesn't hurt anymore. I tried to stop you, but you wouldn't listen. I regret not holding you back, my Chloe. My daughter, Lily, ran out of her room. The 6-year-old saw what I was holding, and her eyes instantly reddened. I don't want Mommy in a box. I want Mommy to play with me. Mommy is a liar. She said she'd take me to Disney World. She lied. Chloe watched her weeping mother and daughter, and tears began to fall from her spectral eyes. She collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Mom, Lily, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I couldn't come back safely. I can't be with you anymore. Her voice choked up, but she stiffened her neck defiantly. But I don't regret it. Julian suffered so much down in Mexico. My heart broke seeing him like that. I couldn't just stand by and not save him. He loves me, and I love him. Yes, you two love each other. Even after being separated for years, one phone call from Julian was enough for Chloe to abandon her husband and daughter, drain the family savings, and travel thousands of miles to rescue him, only to end up like this. Behind me, Julian chuckled. All right, enough crying. Let's handle the business side of things. I brought these ashes all the way back from the border. Flights, accommodation, food, it adds up. You guys need to pay me back. I shook my head silently. Chloe had taken all the family's money. There was nothing left to give Julian. Martha froze, looking up at him in disbelief. Chloe went to Mexico to save you. She died there for you. You come back alive, offer no comfort, and ask for travel money. Julian raised an eyebrow, smirking. I didn't force her to come. She insisted on rushing over. Chloe's spirit panicked, floating in front of Julian, shouting, Julian, how can you say that? You begged me to save you. That's the only reason I went. You said once you got out, you'd marry me. Julian couldn't hear her. He just smiled sleazily. A married woman who doesn't stay home to take care of her husband and kid, but runs off to save another guy and loses her life? If that's not asking for it, I don't know what is. He lit a cigarette with a contemptuous flick of his lighter, inhaled deeply, and continued. I was kind enough to bring her remains back, so you have something to mourn. Asking for a little gas money isn't excessive, is it? Chloe was dumbfounded. She slumped on the floor, her eyes losing their light. Just then, several burly men barged through the front door. The leader slapped a document onto the coffee table. David Ross, right? This house has been collateralized to us. We're here to repossess. Pack your things and get out. Martha was stunned. This is our house. Why are you taking it? Julian, standing to the side, pursed his lips and laughed. Why? Because of your daughter, Chloe. He crushed his cigarette into the ashtray, his tone mocking. To scrape together the ransom money to save me. She mortgaged this house to a hard money lender. Didn't you know? Martha and I looked at each other, mirroring the shock in our eyes. Martha's lips trembled as tears streamed down her face. Chloe, how could you be so stupid? Such a huge thing, and you didn't tell me or David? Chloe's spirit opened her mouth, but no words came out. The living room was silent except for our heavy breathing. Martha paused, then gritted her teeth. This house belongs to David. You can't take it. I have a retirement savings account. There's money in it. I'll pay the debt. Just don't take the house. Julian laughed even harder, his eyes full of scorn. Savings account? Your retirement fund was drained by Chloe ages ago for my use. She didn't tell you that either? Chloe's spirit went rigid, floating motionless. She muttered, Julian, I didn't think that far ahead. I just wanted to get the money to save you. I thought as long as you came back safe, everything would be fine. I didn't think it would end like this. She drifted toward Julian, reaching out to grab his arm, but her hand passed right through him. Her voice cracked with desperation. Julian, I mortgaged the house and took Mom's savings to save you. You can't abandon me. You have to do something. Help my family. But Julian heard nothing. He leaned back on the sofa, leisurely watching my family spiral into despair, his eyes gleaming with the satisfaction of watching a good show. At that moment, the click-clack of high heels echoed from the doorway. I turned around. It was Vanessa, Chloe's childhood best friend. She used to come over all the time, calling me brother-in-law and doting on Lily. But now, she showed not a shred of sadness. Instead, she sat directly on Julian's lap, wrapping her arms familiarly around his neck, and asked in a sickly sweet voice, Julian, baby, I heard you brought the idiot's ashes back. Does this sucker's family have any money left? Can we squeeze anything else out of them? The scene stunned everyone in the room. Martha forgot to cry. Lily hid behind me, her small hand gripping my shirt, her eyes full of fear. The most shocked of all was Chloe's ghost. She floated in midair, her jaw dropped, forgetting even to cry. After a long while, she stammered, Vanessa? What are you saying? What is your relationship with Julian? Vanessa looked at our expressions with triumph, then smiled viciously. Doesn't matter if I tell you now. Chloe, that moron, was played by us from start to finish. She patted Julian's cheek affectionately. I've been with Julian for a long time. The kidnapping in Mexico? It wasn't real. It was a setup we planned. I watched Chloe's expression shift through shock, confusion, and finally, rage. Martha's voice was hoarse. Vanessa, you two were so close. Why would you do this to Chloe? Vanessa sneered. Why? For money, obviously. Chloe has always been a hopeless romantic, treating Julian like a treasure. If we didn't make Julian sound miserable, saying he was half dead in Mexico and needed urgent ransom money, how would she have willingly mortgaged the house and emptied your accounts? Vanessa glanced at me with disdain. And David is a coward. His own wife was flirting with another man, and he did nothing. A total doormat. You deserve this, you loser. Chloe's spirit seemed to turn to stone. She murmured, Vanessa, you were my best friend. How could you lie to me? Julian, tell me this isn't true. You have nothing to do with her, right? But Julian squeezed Vanessa's waist and kissed her on the cheek. He looked up at us, the contempt in his eyes undisguised. If it wasn't for the money Chloe had access to, who would mess around with a married woman? Just thinking about it makes me sick. I never loved her. From beginning to end, she was just an ATM to me. A total fool. She helped count the money while we sold her out. That sentence completely shattered Chloe's final delusion. Her spirit lunged forward, clawing wildly at Julian and Vanessa, screaming like a madwoman. You two liars. You deserve to die. I lost everything to save you. I even lost my life. I regret it. I regret it so much. But her hands passed through their bodies again and again, leaving not a trace. The harder she tried, the more despair she felt, until she finally crouched on the floor, clutching her head, wailing with heart-wrenching grief. Only I could hear her. She truly regretted it. While they were mocking me, I had quietly reached for my phone to call the police. My finger barely touched the screen when my arm was seized, and a heavy fist slammed into my back. One of the thugs cursed, trying to call the cops. You want to die? My daughter, Lily, screamed and rushed forward, throwing her small body over mine to protect me. Another thug shoved her away impatiently. She stumbled and hit the floor hard, crying out in pain. Let go of my daddy. You bad man. Martha, already clutching her chest and gasping for air, saw me getting beaten and Lily shoved. The shock was too much. She gasped, clutched her heart, and collapsed stiffly onto the sofa. Her face turned paper white as she moaned brokenly. What a sin. Get my medicine. I can't breathe. Julian stood up slowly, kicked me in the shin, and spoke with arrogance. Don't waste your energy. The police won't help. He scanned our wretched state and laughed with increasing satisfaction. I'll ask one more time. Is there any money? If not, we take the girl. Or all of you. We can always use a few more organ donors. You'd be worth a pretty penny in parts. You wouldn't dare. I gritted my teeth, squeezing the words out of my throat, held down by the man. I could only glare at him with pure hatred. Julian pulled a paper from his pocket and threw it in my face. Why wouldn't I? Look for yourself. Chloe signed it. She said if she couldn't scrape together enough cash to save me, she'd use her whole family as collateral. It's in black and white. You can't verify it with her now, but the signature is real. Chloe, floating in midair, wept tears that fell like broken beads. She shook her head frantically. I didn't think. I just wanted to get the money quickly. How could I sign something like that? I love my family. I would never hurt them. I'm so stupid. I'm so incredibly stupid. Lily was sobbing, her face filled with terror. Mommy is a bad person. I don't love Mommy anymore. Mommy hurt us. Martha, pale and gasping for air, shouted weakly. I don't have a daughter like her. Shameless. For an outsider, she destroyed her own mother and daughter. How could she be so cruel? Chloe knelt on the ground, bowing her head frantically in apology, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Mom, Lily, David, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please forgive me. I regret it all. If I could do it over, I would love you properly and never be so foolish again. I want to kill those two traitors. Please don't be angry. I beg you. I struggled to get up, but the thugs pinned me down. In the scuffle, I accidentally knocked over the urn. Crash! The ceramic shattered, and ash spilled across the floor. Chloe ignored her own remains, screaming like a lunatic. Give me one more chance. Just one. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Her screams pierced my eardrums, making them ache. Suddenly, the scene before me began to spin and blur. Julian's laughter, Lily's crying, and the thugs shouting faded into the distance. When I opened my eyes again, I was sitting on the sofa in my living room. Sunlight streamed through the window. The phone on the table was vibrating. The name Julian danced on the screen. It was the exact day Chloe received his distress call. Across from me, Chloe, Martha, and Lily were staring at me with wide eyes. My entire family had been reborn. The buzzing of the phone still echoed in the living room. I sat on the sofa, the phantom pain of the beating still lingering in my body, but everything in front of me was impossibly real. Lily's favorite cake sat on the table. Martha was wiping her hands at the kitchen doorway, flour dusting her apron. Chloe stood by the table, staring fixedly at the ringing phone. In the past, she would have snatched it up immediately, her voice softening instantly. But now, she just stood there, frozen, her breathing shallow. I didn't look at her again. Instead, I looked gently at my daughter. All my feelings for Chloe had turned into numbness. I used to love her deeply. For years while she was with Julian, I waited silently in the background. Later, when Julian fled the country after being involved in a financial scam, he vanished. Chloe fell into a deep depression, locking herself in her room, refusing to eat or drink. Martha, heartbroken, had held my hand and cried, begging, David, I know you like Chloe. Please help me talk to her. Make her forget Julian. That boy is no good. I spent 6 months visiting the house every day, bringing her favorite foods, talking to Martha, and occasionally speaking to Chloe through the door. Slowly, she came out. Martha pushed us together, practically threatening suicide if Chloe didn't marry me. Chloe hesitated for a long time, but eventually nodded. I had finally married the girl I had loved for over a decade. In the early years of our marriage, I treated her like a treasure. She loved the pastries from a shop across town. I'd wake up at 5:00 a.m. to queue for them. When her hands and feet were cold in winter, I'd warm them against my chest. If she wanted a designer bag, I'd save for months to buy it for her. But she was always cold to me. She rarely gave me a smile. When I spoke to her, she'd either brush me off or ignore me completely. She barely managed the household, spending her days clutching her phone, waiting for something. I knew she couldn't forget Julian, but I believed that if I gave enough, I'd eventually earn her heart. After Lily was born, she changed a bit, focusing on the child. I thought our happiness had finally arrived. But the moment Julian contacted her again, I realized my devotion had been nothing but a joke. David, what are you thinking about? Let's eat. Martha's voice pulled me back to reality. She turned to Lily. Lily, come here. Grandma made sweet and sour ribs, your favorite. Lily ran over and took my hand, not glancing at Chloe once. I stood up and followed them to the dining room, never speaking a word to Chloe. Behind me, the phone finally stopped vibrating. Chloe had rejected the call. I glanced back. She shoved the phone in her pocket, her face expressionless, and quickly followed us, sitting opposite me at the table. The dinner was elaborate, sweet and sour ribs, tomato and eggs, steamed fish, all things she used to love. But I had no appetite, just chewing slowly on plain rice. Lily held her small bowl, eating ribs with intense focus, while Martha occasionally added more to her plate. Chloe picked up her chopsticks, hesitated, then picked a piece of fish. After carefully removing the bones, she tried to place it in Lily's bowl. Lily moved her bowl away, whispering, "I can get it myself." Chloe's hand froze in midair, a flash of embarrassment crossing her face. Slowly, she placed the fish back in her own bowl. She paused, then looked at Martha. "Mom, after dinner, do you want me to take you to the hospital to check your heart? You mentioned having palpitations recently." Martha put down her chopsticks, took a sip of water, and said coldly, "No need. David already took me for a checkup. The doctor said there's no major issue. As long as I don't get angry, I won't have an episode." Her voice was clearly distant, her eyes never landing on Chloe. Chloe looked stunned, her eyes widening slightly as if she hadn't expected this attitude from her mother. She opened her mouth to speak, but simply pressed her lips together and remained silent. I knew she probably hadn't realized, yet, that she wasn't the only one who had come back. Me, Martha, and Lily, we all remembered the excruciating pain of the previous life. How could we treat her with the same devotion as before? After a few seconds of silence, Chloe turned to Lily, forcing a gentle smile. "Lily, Mommy isn't busy the next few days. How about I take you to Disney World? You've always wanted to go, right? We can ride the carousel and eat cotton candy." Lily looked up, glanced at her once, then lowered her head to continue eating. Her tone was icy. "No thanks. I'm only happy if Daddy takes me." I said no thanks. After saying that, she tugged my hand. "Daddy, I'm done. Can we go watch cartoons in the living room?" I nodded, put down my chopsticks, and stood up to lead Lily to the living room. As I passed Chloe, I didn't even look at her. She sat there, her face flushing red then white, gripping her chopsticks so hard her knuckles turned white. I settled Lily on the sofa, turned on the TV to her favorite show, then sat in the armchair nearby, scrolling aimlessly on my phone. The living room was quiet, filled only by the sound of cartoons and the faint noises from the dining room. Not long after, Martha finished eating, cleared the table, and went into the kitchen to wash the dishes. Chloe followed her in, intending to help, but Martha blocked her. "No need for you to lift a finger. Just rest." Chloe stood at the kitchen doorway, staring at Martha's busy back, her eyes filled with confusion and helplessness. She probably never imagined a day when she would become so superfluous in this home. I watched her, feeling absolutely nothing. My love had been worn away by her repeated hurts and the despair of our past life. Now, I only wanted to protect Martha and Lily and live a quiet life. As for Chloe, her life, death, and emotions were no longer my concern. Just then, a frantic knocking sounded at the door. Vanessa had arrived. Chloe Ross, open the door. It's an emergency." I didn't even lift my eyelids. Lily, startled by the noise, shrank into my arms, whispering, "Daddy, is it a bad person?" "It's okay," I whispered, patting her back soothingly. Chloe snapped out of her daze, her face shifting instantly as she hurried to the entryway. She opened the door, and sure enough, Vanessa rushed in, looking anxious, her hair disheveled from running. "Chloe, it's bad. Julian's been kidnapped in Mexico. He told me he couldn't reach you, so he told me to find you. You have to save him." Vanessa grabbed Chloe's arm, her tone exaggerated. "They want $100,000 ransom. If we don't get it in 3 days, they're going to cut off his hands. You have to think of something." Vanessa waited for Chloe's panic, but she didn't see the frantic reaction she expected. Chloe just looked at her deeply, showing no reaction at all. Vanessa froze, her mask of anxiety slipping. "Chloe, say something. Julian is going to die." Chloe shook off her hand, her eyes cold as ice. It was the first time I'd seen her look at Vanessa like that. Previously, she had trusted her best friend implicitly. Before Vanessa could react, Chloe turned and ran into the kitchen, returning moments later gripping a kitchen knife, the blade glinting in the light. "Vanessa!" Chloe's voice trembled, filled with an unprecedented resolve. "If you dare mention Julian's name again, if you dare try to scam me again, I will cut you right now." Vanessa turned pale, stumbling back and nearly tripping over the shoe rack. Chloe, are you crazy? That's Julian. The Julian you're obsessed with. You're not going to save him. Save him? I hope he dies in Mexico. Chloe raised the knife, advancing step by step. And you too. You pair of liars. Don't think I'm as stupid as I used to be. Psycho. You're a total psycho. Vanessa panicked completely, screaming as she turned and fled out the door. Her angry curses echoed from the hallway. Chloe, you'll regret this. If anything happens to Julian, you'll never have peace. Chloe chased her out with a knife. A moment later, I picked up Lily and stood. Mom, we're going out for a bit. Martha nodded, understanding my intent. I took Lily and Martha straight to the bank. The household accounts were in my name, but Chloe knew the pins. In a last life, she used those codes to drain everything. This time, I changed every password to ensure she could never be blinded by greed again. From the bank, we went to the county clerk's office and then a lawyer. The house was bought entirely with my premarital assets, but previously, Chloe had forged documents to leverage it. This time, I initiated the process to put the property into a trust for Lily. By the time we finished filing the paperwork and locking the deeds and new cards in a safety deposit box, it was afternoon. The sun was glaring. I said to Martha and Lily, let's go home. When we returned, Chloe wasn't there. On the living room coffee table lay a pile of items. Martha's specific brand of blood pressure medication, the Barbie doll Lily had wanted for months, and an electric shaver I had once mentioned wanting. She had obviously gone shopping. We sat down, and shortly after, Chloe returned carrying grocery bags. Seeing us, she forced an ingratiating smile. Mom, David, Lily, you're back? I went to the supermarket and bought ingredients. All your favorites. She unpacked fresh vegetables, imported fruits, and Martha's favorite pastries. Then she walked to Martha, handing over the medicine box. Mom, this is the imported brand. It works better. Try it. Martha didn't take it. She simply said, my own medicine is fine. Chloe's hand hung in the air. She turned to Lily, offering the Barbie doll. Lily, look, it's the newest Barbie you wanted. Mommy bought it for you. Lily turned her head away, burying her face in my shirt. I don't want it. Chloe's smile collapsed. She put the things down and walked over to me, her eyes rimmed with red. David, I know you all remember too. I was terrible before. I was stupid. I ignored you, hurt you, betrayed the family. I'm sorry to you, to Mom, to Lily. She took a deep breath, her voice choked with tears but trying to stay steady. I swear, from today on, I will take care of you properly. I'll never think about Julian, that liar, again. Can you forgive me? I looked up at her, feeling nothing in my heart, and said nothing. She froze, her lips moving silently. Finally, she walked silently into the kitchen to start cooking. After dinner, Chloe suddenly knelt on the tiled floor with a dull thud. She looked up, tears mixing with mucus running down her face, clutching my pant leg tightly. David, Mom, Lily, I know I was wrong. I really know it. Please give me another chance. This atmosphere, it's suffocating me. I can't breathe. I looked down at her calmly. Martha turned her face away, clutching her chest and sighing softly. Lily hid behind me, gripping my shirt. She's scaring me, Lily whispered. Chloe stiffened, crying harder. Lily, Mommy was wrong. Mommy will play with you every day, take you to Disney, buy you toys. Mom, I shouldn't have stolen your retirement money or mortgaged the house. I'll be filial from now on. David, I won't think of Julian. I just want to live with you all. I gently pried her fingers off my leg. Her shoulders shook uncontrollably, her eyes full of despair. That night, after putting Lily to sleep, I went to the bedroom. Chloe was already in bed. Seeing me, she scooted over and patted the space beside her. I ignored it, grabbed a quilt from the closet, and turned to leave for the sofa. David, don't go. I am scared. Chloe sat up, hugging me from behind, sobbing. I know you're angry. I'll make it up to you slowly. Can we start over? I'll be good to you. I won't be stupid again. Her embrace was warm, just like before. But it felt alien to me now, even repulsive. I gently pushed her away. I'm going to sleep in Lily's room. I walked out and closed the door. Behind me, I heard stifled sobbing. I didn't look back. Some things, once broken, can never be put back together. Early the next morning, I was woken by a ringtone. It was Chloe's phone. The name, Julian, flashed on the screen. Chloe stood by the bed, staring at it, pale as a ghost. I ignored her and started dressing Lily. Chloe hesitated for a long time before finally answering. On the other end, Julian's voice was wretched, crying. Chloe, save me. They beat me so bad. They're going to cut off my fingers and gouge out my eyes. You have to get the money. 100 grand. Just that, and they'll let me go. Chloe, I know you love me the most. You wouldn't leave me to die, right? I thought Chloe would hesitate, would soften. But she was silent for only a few seconds before speaking in a voice so numb it didn't sound like her. Wait there. I'm coming to save you. She hung up. Then, she immediately dialed 911. Her voice was calm and collected as she explained the situation to the police. The authorities were efficient. Officers arrived shortly to take a statement. Chloe told them everything about how Julian and Vanessa had tried to scam her, providing call logs and recordings. Police quickly located Vanessa. She was arrested that afternoon. Under interrogation, Vanessa confessed everything. Julian and Vanessa had been partners for a long time, scamming multiple women. They worked with a syndicate across the border, draining victims' bank accounts and sometimes trafficking them. Vanessa was the domestic handler, pressuring the women for money. They had blood on their hands. Based on Vanessa's confession, U.S. authorities coordinated with law enforcement in Mexico. A few days later, news came. Julian and the ring of scammers were apprehended in a raid. They would face severe sentences. If not the death penalty, they would rot in prison forever. When the news broke, Chloe was in the kitchen cooking. Her hand holding the spatula paused. Tears fell from her eyes, but she made no sound. With the news of Julian's arrest, the tension in the house eased slightly, but a persistent barrier remained. Chloe continued to cook and clean every day, trying every method to please Martha, Lily, and me. But our responses were tepid. Her enthusiasm was like hot water poured onto ice. It cooled instantly. Every night, she cried herself to sleep. She tried to chat with Martha, but Martha would simply say, "My savings are locked in the bank now. You can't get to them." Chloe would freeze, then sigh and walk away. She tried to play with Lily. Lily wouldn't even look at her. "Mommy, don't sell me. I am scared." Chloe would bite her lip, holding back tears as she ran from the room. She tried to hug me. I told her bluntly, "I really don't have any money left. You don't need to flatter me." She would stand there dumbfounded, her breathing becoming rapid and shallow. One evening, I picked Lily up from school. Chloe had dinner ready. The table was full of food, but no one spoke, the only sound the click of chopsticks against bowls. Halfway through the meal, Chloe suddenly put down her chopsticks. Her hands clasped together tightly, knuckles white, as if she had made a massive decision. "Let's get a divorce." My hand holding the chopsticks paused. I didn't look up or speak. Martha sighed, put down her water glass, and looked at her with complex eyes before glancing at me. Lily kept shoveling rice in her mouth, not looking up. "Okay." Chloe's shoulders trembled, her eyes reddening instantly. She took a deep breath, her voice choked but forcing strength. "I don't deserve you, David. Before, I was possessed, blind to reality. I hurt you all. I destroyed this home. I have sinned, being given a second life. I shouldn't stay here like a parasite, holding you back, holding Mom and Lily back." She looked around the home with longing, then spoke softly. "I personally threw away the people who love me most. I regret it, but it's useless. People have to take responsibility for their stupidity." She looked up at me, the light gone from her eyes. "David, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. In the days to come, I hope you take good care of Mom and Lily. I hope you all have peace and happiness." I looked at her, then nodded. She sighed and went to the room to pack. The next day, we divorced. She moved out. Life afterward was calm as still water. I worked hard, came home to Martha's hot meals, and enjoyed my daughter's company. Life was interesting again. Occasionally, when dropping Lily off or picking her up, I seemed to see Chloe's figure. She would just watch from the sidelines, never disturbing us, but her eyes held no light. Sometimes Lily would see her too. She would just turn her head and smile at me. "Daddy, I want ice cream." I would nod, pick her up, and walk away. Sometime later, Martha mentioned that a woman from her square dancing group, Mrs. Zhao, had a daughter named Sarah who had been single for years and wanted to introduce us. I asked Lily what she thought. Lily played with her toy and smiled. "As long as Daddy is happy, I'm happy." I smiled and told Martha, "Let's meet her then." Sarah was also divorced, with no children. When we met, Lily studied her curiously. Sarah gave her a small gift and offered a gentle hug. Lily seemed very happy. Sarah and I talked about everything: work, family, Lily. She didn't ask much about my past. The next few dates were pleasant, and Lily seemed to really like Sarah's gentle nature. Eventually, we planned a trip to Disney World. Lily was ecstatic. She rode every ride, tiring herself out until she was panting with joy. In a vast crowd, I thought I saw Chloe again. She was holding an ice cream cone, staring blankly in our direction. Sarah noticed her too. "David, that woman keeps looking at us. Do you know her?" Lily glanced over and said flatly, "We don't know that lady." Sarah smiled and took Lily's hand to lead her to the restroom. Chloe started to walk toward me, then stopped. She just stared at me, then looked toward where Sarah and Lily had gone. Her eyes held envy, relief, and regret. After a moment, she made a fighting fist gesture, a sign of encouragement, and then hurriedly ran away. Her figure finally disappeared completely into the sea of people. Story complete.